President Trump set to take off for New York in about 90 minutes from now as he weighs a decision to revoke the possibility of more security clearances for Obama-era officials. Now, 12 former senior intel officials releasing a statement late yesterday, slamming the move as ill-considered and unprecedented. Jeff Mason, White House correspondent for Reuters from the North Line. How you doing, Jeff? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Bill.
Who is next, if anyone's next?
Well, that's the question. He did what was Sarah Sanders when she read the president's statement just a couple days ago, revoking the clearance for John Brennan, mentioned a whole list of other people who he was considering, among them Susan Rice, President Obama's former national security advisor, and the former DNI for Obama, James Clapper, both of whom, along with the others on that list, have been big critics of President Trump.
Well, here is part of that letter on screen. As individuals who have cherished and have preserved the right of Americans to free speech, even when that right has been used to criticize us, that signal is inappropriate and deeply regrettable. Decisions on security clearances should be based on national security concerns and not political views. David Petraeus is one of the many who signed that. You can make a case that John Brennan's been the biggest critic of this administration. He's on TV almost every day. And what the White House would argue is that you can go ahead and talk, but your access to the information will be no longer. What did Sarah Sanders tell you about that?
Well, and I asked her about that when she made that announcement on Wednesday. I asked if this was something that could be considered or construed as an effort to block free speech, and she said no. The president has a constitutional right to protect the access to the classified information, and that's what he was doing, was exercising that right. However, the note that you mentioned at the top of this segment, signed by people including Petraeus, who was someone who President Trump considered as a potential candidate for Secretary of State, says, look, you don't have to like what they say, but you shouldn't be taking action to strip their security clearance just because you don't agree with their criticism.
You know, there might be another way of looking at this. Let's turn it around 180 degrees. Eli Lake, Bloomberg News. Here's the headline. Trump is not trying to silence Brennan. That's the headline, all right? The president's strategy is the opposite, to make the former CIA director more prominent and use him as a foil. In other words, you make Brennan the face of the resistance. Is that what's going on here?
Well, I read that, and I think it's an interesting take. Look, the president does like to have a foil. He has often used the media as a foil. In the Democratic Party, he's used Maxine Waters as a foil. He's certainly elevated her by continuing to talk about her in rallies and on Twitter, certainly Nancy Pelosi as well. So it's possible that that's part of this strategy. It would not be unprecedented for him to choose somebody who he thinks will rile up the base by elevating him or her and emphasizing what he or she has said that has been critical of the president.
Do you know of any moves expected for today?
Well, as you said before, the president is traveling today, and so we'll be watching that trip, and also just watching to see whether and when he makes another decision to strip other people of these security clearances. I don't think this story is going away.
Jeff Mason, thank you for your time from the North Lawn there
pleasure.
at the White House. Thank you, sir.